Hello, this is Corissa and Tom on Tentacles, the podcast from Crown and Reach. We are feeling our way through the murky waters of strategy and operations in an uncertain world.
Uncertain but brightening. It's
Ever brightening.
Nice. Sunny today.
And you just, you had to dispose of a fox poo that was under the bench.
I did, but we won't think about that.
I'm enjoying the fact that it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nice.
from one pooey subject to another.
Yeah.
Interviews, as in job interviews.
God, we haven't had one of them for a while.
Anyway, I've got a question for you. Let's imagine, Tom, that
Yeah.
you are being interviewed right now for a job, and I am the hiring manager, and I ask you if you had to choose between delivering a project on time and with known quality issues, or delivering it late with everything fixed and you could not discuss it with anyone or get more information, which option would you choose and why?
Well, obviously, I'd jump into panicking and fall apart on the spot. That's the right answer, isn't it?
Surely that's the only answer.
What were the options again, so I can deliver it?
So you're not allowed to, I think the key thing is you're not allowed to discuss it with any colleagues to try and figure out what is actually the better option.
Right, and I'm not allowed to even discuss it with the boss who's choosing it.
Gun to your head, you're not going to get any more information. All you know is that you have to choose between delivering it on time with known quality issues or delivering it late with everything fixed.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to imagine a project where everything gets fixed. But I know what you mean. That's a situation that occurs all the time in every job, isn't it? There's never enough time to do it all. And we're up against the iron triangle, aren't we? Which is, what's that? Good, cheap, fast. Pick two.
Yes.
But I prefer Mike Haber's inverted iron triangle, which is bad, expensive, and late. You can have all three.
I love it. You're already sort of subtly changing the topic.
Of course.
I'd hire you in a heartbeat. You've just dodged the question entirely. Very, very good. And the interviewer has probably forgotten all about their original question by now, and they're into talking about iron triangles. Lovely.
Is that winning then? Did I win?
So,
Tell me the backstory, because I know there's a backstory here.
You know there's a backstory. So actually I just happened to come across this thread on Reddit, and I don't know how or why I ended up seeing it, but I thought it was quite interesting. And the question comes from the thread, so I'll read out the whole post. Right, here we go. Interviewer asked me a question with no right answer and then explained exactly why he does it. This actually changed how I think about interviews. Had a first round yesterday for a mid-level project manager role. The interviewer was the hiring manager himself, which I wasn't expecting for a first round, but fine. First 20 minutes were pretty standard. Walk me through your experience, tell me about a challenging project, the usual. And then he pauses and goes, okay, I'm going to ask you something a bit different now. The question was...
That question we started with, yeah.
And then it goes on. I sat with it for a second. Then I said... late delivery and explained my reasoning around client trust and long-term reputation over short-term deadline pressure. He nodded and then said something I wasn't expecting. He said it doesn't matter which option I picked. He said in 10 years of hiring, he's never rejected someone based on the answer itself. What he's looking for is whether the candidate sits with discomfort or discomfort. Discomfort. It's like I've never said that word before in my life. So whether the candidate sits with discomfort or immediately reaches for the quote-unquote safe answer. He said a lot of people just say whatever they think he wants to hear and it shows immediately. Others get flustered because there's no obvious correct path, and that tells him something too. He said the candidates he remembers are the ones who acknowledge the tension in the question, make a clear choice anyway, and can articulate why without apologising for it. I thought this was genuinely fascinating. I've been over-preparing correct answers for years, when apparently what some interviewers actually want is just to see how you think under mild pressure. And that's it. And it reminded me of our long ago, I guess you could call it a series on characteristics of leaders who are capable operating in complexity.
Yep, uncertainty and ambiguity was the title, wasn't it?
Uncertainty and ambiguity, that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting thing that is becoming ever more relevant in today's world, of which we talk about a lot.
We do, yeah.
Where it's just sort of less and less predictable.
Yeah.
And these sort of well-trodden routes are not so reliable anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, the sort of ability to sit with discomfort.
Yeah, discomfort, and also the ability to consider trade-offs and multiple answers, none of which are obviously right.
Right, knowing there's no obvious right and wrong.
Yeah.
And kind of, having the space for multiple possible narratives, which could all be equally valid.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about this, isn't it? And it reminds me, I think when I was like in a leadership position in the last company I was in, and I was interviewing, and more recently when I've been helping a client to hire people, I think I lean towards the same sort of pressure, but not as cleanly articulated as that. I'm always looking for, hey, there are trade-offs. How do you handle that ambiguity? And it's definitely interesting that you definitely see immediately if people have a pat answer or are almost like ideologically committed to doing it one way even when it's not actually appropriate.
Yeah, interesting. So you ask similar questions, but it's less obviously set up. It was quite an obviously set up question.
Obviously set
I'm
up,
going to ask you something a little bit different now.
But I think the strength is in that. I think there's something about that setup that makes it quite good. I'll be stealing that framing next time.
It's good, and I think it's certainly it was quite painful reading that thread for me, because I mean until fairly recently, within the last few years, I would have had a coronary if someone had asked me that question. I'd be like, I don't want this job, bye. I can't answer that.
I can't handle this level of pressure.
Too scary. So I think it really it touched a nerve for me about just I think probably quite an uncommon skill that you really have to work hard to develop, because so much of our working world and just generally the world operates on the delusion that you can predict things and control things to quite a high degree.
Yeah.
When that's clearly garbage.
Yeah, that then highlights another thing, which is, damn, with that question, the question that was just framed at the beginning, in a vacuum, there is no way to answer it. You can talk about the trade-off, but you can't actually make a choice, because the choice has to be based on your context and the path dependency of where you've got to and what you know about the client in question, etc., etc.
Right, but I guess that's the whole point. Like, it's an artificial question. It's not really about coming up with a good answer. It's about how you respond to that sort of question.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, there was a Star Wars reference from one of our recent Star Trek.
Yeah, the Kobayashi Maru.
Yes.
Yeah.
From one of our recent email newsletters, which is, could you tell this story much better than I do?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think Star Trek tells it quite well. But it's a test that is set up in Starfleet Academy, which is legendary or like infamous. It's called the Kobayashi Maru because that's the name of the spaceship you're commanding at the time, I think. And it's a test for wannabe spaceship commanders. And the point of the test is there is no way to win. You're in an unwinnable scenario. Whatever you do, you end up getting destroyed or defeated or something like that. And the real point of the test is to see, how does the commander respond under such a situation? Do they accept it? Do they crumble? Do they panic? What do they do? That's the real point of the test. And there's then a twist on the twist, in that James T. Kirk, the hero of the whole thing, obviously one of the heroes, but also a questionable character, he ends up beating the Kobayashi Maru, but he does it by sneaking in the night before and reprogramming it so there's a back door and he can win. And Starfleet Academy are furious with him, and they basically say that he's refused to accept the lesson of the thing. And his take is, no, there's always a way. You've just got to think outside the box. I can't believe I just said that.
Be willing to cheat.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Is that okay? I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's changing the conditions so that you have more options than you previously had. I
That's
get the point.
better.
I get the point. It doesn't have to be cheating.
It doesn't, but I like the way you jumped to that, which I'd lost track of. But yeah, it is change the conditions. Why not?
So yeah, you definitely told that better than I would have done. I couldn't even remember that it was Star Trek, not Star Wars.
I'm sure there's something similar in Star Wars.
But yeah, I think it's it's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question. But I mean, if it becomes popular enough among interviewers, then of course it becomes gameable, because then people figure out how to handle it in advance. And it's like the person who wrote the post talking about how, you know, you prepare to have the perfect answer for lots of common questions, and that's possible because all of these interview questions are well known, and you know you're likely to get asked, you know, one or two.
Tell me about your weakness.
Exactly. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure it's gameable if you know in advance that it's coming. But what are you looking at? Is it a bird?
A rat.
Oh, a rat.
There
Oh
was
dear.
a rat poking its head through the fence.
I thought, it sounds like a lovely little robin
It did, didn't it?
pootling around in the bushes behind us, but no, it's a rat.
That's not so nice.
Oh,
We might need to
dear.
block that up.
Fox poo, rats. It's great being outside in the sun, isn't it?
Yeah, we live in such a lovely area. Okay, yeah. So, but you're right. There is a Red Queen effect, isn't there, with interviewing, where you're always trying to come up with questions that people haven't prepared for, so that you can actually determine what's going on.
Right, and I think it was quite a nice turning point in my own career when I stopped thinking about needing to prepare for interview questions, because that's not the point, right? Like, if you trick your way into a job that you're not actually suited for, you're going to have a shitty
Everyone's
time.
a loser.
Yeah, like, don't bother. Like, if you have enough confidence in your own abilities, and also your ability to admit when you don't know something, or admit when you've made a mistake or whatever, then it doesn't matter. You don't need to prepare the right answers.
Yeah, so and that gives us another way to think about the answer to that initial question, which is, what would the company that you would want to be employed by, because they would align with your sensibilities, your sense of what's right and wrong, etc., what would they want you to say? What would they want you to do? Which is going to be basically what you would want to do, what you think is best. And then if they don't like the answer, great, you've dodged a bullet.
Right. Yeah, so what you're saying is, I mean, some companies may well want you to just leap to taking quick action with false conviction and just blunder your way through it.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of companies who would want you to always just bodge it out on time and hope that the client doesn't notice the quality issues.
Just fake a level of confidence that isn't really there. Like,
Yeah.
rather than acknowledging the tension in the fact that there's no kind of obvious right way forward.
Yeah.
You just say, I know the right answer, boo, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to I'm going to make it work. I'm going to throw people under the bus if that's what it takes.
And that can happen. Can happen. But there's this absolute analysis paralysis, panic that you can see. I'm sure we've met people who are like this, and we were like this when we were younger, when you're thinking, how do I get a job? How do I jump through all the hoops correctly in order to win the job, like the job is a prize? Which, if you really need a job, it sort of is. So it's hard to get out of that frame.
Yeah, for sure.
But like you say, the realisation you eventually get to is, well, yeah, you need a job, but a bad job is actually worse than no job. And so
in many
ways.
Yeah.
In important psychological ways.
Psychological ways,
that
maybe
can
not
do
financial
real lasting
ways.
damage.
Yes. Yeah. In the long term, it's probably bad.
Yeah. So as long as you have got enough of a cushion and you have got the ability to choose, then how do you prepare your CV? How do you prepare your interview? How do you come across in an interview? The answer is prepare it so that the company that you would love to work for would think it's brilliant. Not try to answer, like, don't take feedback from everybody, because you'll be taking feedback from people you wouldn't want to work with anyway. And that'll draw you in the wrong direction. It'll get you really confused.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about in the distant past. It might even have been pre-podcast era, but the art of like soliciting feedback and then deciding what you act on and what you choose to say thank you, but I'm actually not going to act on that.
Yeah.
I can disregard that because it's not as relevant as the other feedback.
Yeah, and there's the fundamental feedback rule, isn't there, which is when somebody tells you that something isn't right and isn't working for them, they're almost always right. When they tell you exactly what's wrong and how to fix it, they're almost always wrong.
Yes, and that's is that a Neil Gaiman quote?
It is, but it's attributed to other people as well. But yeah, Neil Gaiman, we stopped referring to him because he turned out to be a monster. But...
Oh no, I've name dropped him. Oh God, do we publish this episode at all?
I mean,
Yes, we'll
if you
publish it.
don't mention any monsters any time, then you can't mention anyone or talk about anything.
That's right. We just sit here in silence for half an hour. Maybe people would listen to that.
Yeah. Hey, if you'd like a podcast like that, then just drop us a line, Tentacles at Crown and Reach. We can do half an hour of silence.
Yeah. In fact,
Bird
that
noises.
sounds very wholesome. Maybe we'll hear a fox pooing in the background.
We could just do the interjections about different wildlife and none of the rest of the chat.
It's great. I'm in. But yeah, just on the pod of the feedback point, while I remember as well, another phrase to watch out for is when someone says, "Well, other people would do X." I wouldn't do X, but most people would do X. Or like this, I could imagine this person absolutely doing this or wanting this or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you're not those people, are you?
No. What you're saying is you don't want it, and that's what's important. Yeah. That's it. And that's something to remember as well. I think it's another angle of that with feedback is when you ask somebody for feedback on something you've done, the route one that they'll give you is, well, I would have done it this way. That tends to be the default. Now, if they are a master, if they understand the field deeply and thoroughly, and they've transcended Zen Buddhist level, they've finished Buddhism, then...
Who was it that said that the other day?
Oh, I can't remember now. I think it was on Taskmaster.
Oh, yes.
Join us in rewatching all of Taskmaster again. But yeah, if that, then you might want to listen to how they would do it.
If you've tried to do something that somebody else has done provably much better than you have many times before, and they say they would have done it differently, there might be something in that.
Get curious.
Get curious, be humble, and see what's there.
Yeah. But if it's just anyone responding to it, then take it as just information. It doesn't mean you have to do that. It doesn't mean you have to think that they're right about it at all or anything like that. Use the real signals you get.
Enter into it fully open to the possibility that they're going to criticise you and they are right about it, but also be, you withhold the right to say, actually, I'm sure your feedback is well intentioned, but I can see that it doesn't really apply in the way that you think it does.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell them that.
You don't have to tell them unless you're really up for a Barney.
Yeah. But it feels like it's the most generative or productive stance that you can take is you actively seek out feedback, especially negative feedback, because most people are too polite to give it. Mm-hmm. But you filter it carefully. You don't take it all to heart. You don't assume that because somebody didn't like something you made that you're a terrible person who needs to get in the sea. You filter it, and you still come back to saying, well, I'm going to do what I believe is right. I'm going to do what gives me joy, piques my curiosity, etc., etc. But if you're seeking feedback from the world, your sense of what's good, etc., is going to be shaped by that over time, and your, dare I say it, taste improves.
And it reminds me of another kind of meta-level skill in getting and interpreting feedback, which is, there's to give feedback in a good way, it's attack the idea, not the person. Yeah. But often people will attack you as a person, but that doesn't mean that their feedback isn't valid. So you kind of have to be able to translate it and say, if they delivered that feedback in a way that wasn't so shitty, what would I take from that? Yeah. And that's really hard to do.
Really hard to do.
But it does mean you might get some gems.
Yeah. Dig through the pile of poo.
They're having a bad day. They're having a bad day. Maybe if I'd asked them tomorrow, they'd have said it in a nicer way. So yeah, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
That's good. There is a real tricky skill. Like there's a meta skill to giving feedback as well, isn't there? Mm-hmm. And actually, this has turned into something that's about feedback, hasn't it? It's about trade-offs and feedback. But if somebody is asking you for feedback, then something that I think we've learned over the years is that most of the time they don't actually want feedback.
They just want you to tell them they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason
you're okay,
they're not
mate. You're okay.
You're okay. The reason you're not successful is the world. It's not you. Mm-hmm. And they're not necessarily asking for legitimately like feedback, critique, as it were.
Yeah, they don't really want the constructive criticism.
No.
Exactly. They just want to be kind of reassured that they are on the right path.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lord knows I've been there in the early days.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to ask for feedback because that's what I'm supposed to do, but you better not be honest with me. I'm too scared.
Well, then when we layer it up a level, we were talking about this in the in the realm of founders who have taken a big leap. Like, they've left a job, they've told all their family that they're taking this big risk, they've put time and energy into some sort of idea, and the idea was some epiphany, and it was exciting enough that they jumped in and they put all of this stuff at stake. And then when it comes to the moment when it's time to take that idea and get real feedback from the market, can they actually sell it to anyone? That's when they hold back, and they go and have nice conversations with people who tell them what a great idea it is, but they resist asking for that. Can you give me the money for this? Do you really want it now, enough to pay? Because there's this, I think everybody has it, this, it's uncomfortable first, but also, what if? What if you find out that this idea that you've tied your identity to is not good enough?
Right, or even, I mean, it can go even further beyond that, and it reminds me of a company that we had a conversation with recently, who didn't even want to have exploratory conversations, not even about their own idea.
Yeah, too scared of talking with people in the market about anything.
Full stop. Yeah, just not really wanting to hear anything back from the real world. Yeah,
that is seriously dangerous if you're trying to build something or something that people want to buy. We should be clear, there is a world where if you want to make something for your own sake and you just want to make it because you love making it, brilliant.
Yeah, we've talked about that in many a previous podcast.
Yeah.
Do it for your own sake, but don't kind of gaslight yourself and other people by saying we really want to do it properly by getting real input from customers and whatnot. Like, if you're going to do it, you're going to fund it yourself, you want to pay people to, be on your team and do the work, fine. That's totally valid.
Yeah.
Do that, but just, I guess, be clear that that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And occasionally that sort of business works.
It does, absolutely. Some people get lucky. They have a hunch and the hunch pays off.
Yeah, it's something I think we'll put a pin in this for the next podcast. There was an interesting article about how all of the startup methodology type doctrine has made no difference to startup success rates.
Oh, wow.
None of it works.
Oh, wow.
But we carry on anyway. And that leads to some interesting conclusions. I think we'll talk about that next time.
I'm keen to have that conversation ASAP.
ASAP.
But yeah, I guess just to bring it back to the interview question, I think it's something that I try to remind myself of, literally on a daily basis. Something will happen where I feel like that immediate discomfort, something's not going to plan, and there's this urge to quickly do something about it. Like, I have to take action to fix this, and actually just managing to catch that moment and say, I don't have to do something right now. I can take a bit of time to think about it and just acknowledge that, this is a difficult situation and maybe there isn't an obvious right answer.
Yeah.
But just kind of making space for that. And then invariably, it literally happens on a daily basis. I'll be so grateful to myself for not jumping to do something silly.
Yeah.
And actually taking a bit of time, because sometimes, you get more information and then you can make a better decision.
You can.
And sometimes you don't get more information. But just getting comfortable with discomfort is a valid life skill.
It is a valid life skill. And I want to just explain, I think I have certainly in the past, maybe sometimes even every day, have come across the thing where I'm faced with that sort of interview question, but in real life, and I'll just ignore it, not confront it at all, not sit with it really, just carry on with doing something else. And that is also not the right way to go. The trick, if there is one, is to meet it, but to sit with it and just let it be. Maybe abstract to another level so you can think about what are the trade-offs here.
Start talking about, what was it, iron triangles?
Yep, jump onto iron triangles. That's my way of deflecting.
Try and charm your conversation partner with your deep thought leadership. Knowledge of various domains.
Name drop references of your friend. All this sort of stuff. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it takes all sorts, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, have we got... That's kind of the wrap-up, isn't it? That's the end to all of this, is that the stance is open to sitting with discomfort. That's kind of thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I'm really hungry, and that's the kind of discomfort that I don't want to sit with any longer.
Let's make that not be happening anymore.
All right. Bye for now.